So welcome everybody to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. Today is Friday, June the 25th, 2021, and our call-in number is 563-999-3581 and press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And I'll welcome Michael, and I will tell you that Magda is still with us, and she has her hand still up. So you want to go directly to processing with her?
Sweet. Let's say hello to the young lady.
Absolutely. Hey, Magda.
Hey, how are you doing, Jeannie, Michael?
We're rocking, doing well. How about you?
This is awesome.
Jeannie was just sharing a little bit about your conversation with Tim. I wasn't on, but sweet. Next layer, next level of healing. Thank you, Dr. Tim.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tim, for sure. Yeah, right now I'm pretty full of emotion. He gave me a number of great ideas, and the last one was a mind shifter that I think it would be good if I would do it right now while I have all of this emotion happening.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah. So
we'll be breathing with you.
Yeah,
and if it moves and you want to, come back in, that would be awesome.
I will keep that as a possibility. Oh, thank you.
One quick. Well, no. Let's leave it right at that, and we'll talk later.
Okay. Good. And
I've got another mind shifter. I'll send you. I'll text to you.
Oh, okay.
We'll support your process staying right where it is, the level where Jim took you to, and hold the space.
Okay. Very good.
Sweet.
So have a wonderful show. And,
all right, in the plan. Okay.
Talk with you later.
Sending love. All right, so that's the only hand we have up, so take it away.
Sending love, yes. So welcome, everybody. Once again, we get to play in this awesome arena of first century Aramaic forgiveness. We get to move into deeper and deeper levels and layers of what it takes to heal. If you've ever been asked if you know what a whatchamacallit is, what would you say? Well, what are you talking about? If I said to you, what can you tell me about a truck? You'd tell me 4 wheels or 18 wheels or whatever you would tell me because you have brain cells for it. But if I asked you what a whatchamacallit was, you wouldn't tell me anything about it because you don't have brain cells for what a whatchamacallit is. And one of the important parts of this process that we're going through is building the brain cells for the process of healing, because right now for most people, healing is a whatchamacallit. What does that look like? Oh, I feel terrible. Great. I'm delighted you're healing. What do you mean you're delighted I'm healing? Well, a moment ago you were in great spirits and something resonated, up it came, and here's your layer to process through it. Oh, I didn't have brain cells for that. That's not what that meant to me. That meant, oh my goodness, I'm in trouble. But, each time you choose to embody at a new depth a truth that your mind has not yet engaged, all of the lies have to go. That's just part of the process. Everything that is not true, everything that does not fit, called the learning process. Well, I should talk about learning in a later chapter in the book. But once you've got the brain cells to go, oh, this is what my healing process looks like, then instead of confusion, pain, depression, anger, sadness, fear, rage, guilt, grief, trauma, processing old unresolved pain, you get, from an unconscious point of view, you get to go to a conscious point of view and process that old pain. In processing, remember, we define this work as holding love conscious, active, and present when something less than love comes up. Guess what that requires? That which is less than love has to come up. So when I have the brain cells to recognize, oh, this is my healing process, then I continue to take the tools. Whatever lie my mind's telling me, my mind can tell me I'm not capable, I'm not competent, I'm broken, or, and all that the mind is doing is replaying power person messages that simply need to be resolved. And so, Magda, with this kind of an issue, it would be perfect to put on the new power person worksheet from the Codependence Intensive and take a look at the next level. And remember, we talked a lot in the intensive about, and of course we've done this on the show over the years, about becoming the thinker apart from the thought, the feeler apart from the feelings, the actor apart from the actions. Step back and be able to observe this automatic decision system, kicking into old judgments about self and others, and then being able to call foul on those old judgments of self and others. Apply the tool of forgiveness and throw them out because they have no place in you. It's all based in lies. And if you think about that passage from the Course in Miracles we've talked about many times, that says, you use them to declare their unreality in terms that still have meaning in that world that darkness rules. And so as you have the brain cells for, oh, here's the next piece of work. Oh, here's the next piece. What's the next piece going to look like? It's going to look like anything that holds me out of functioning fully in enthusiasm and aliveness and joy and in the presence of love. Now, of course, it's usually going to be somebody else that resonates those brain cells, and that's when people want to run away, disconnect. I don't want anything to do with you. What's going on in you that you turn to run? Most people ask the question or tell the story. Remember, Satan in Aramaic means the resistor, one who misleads. You invite the average person who's going into a healing crisis to recognize there's been a healing crisis, and this is energy moving, and they'll go into their resistance. No, you don't understand. What I have brain cells for is they're the problem in my life. And if I can just get far enough away from them, if I can just manipulate them enough, if I can just tell them what they should really be doing. Now remember, every time you're telling somebody else what they should really be doing, not giving them support, but advising them as to what they should be doing, you are giving advice to yourself, and you are engaging in your own power person dynamic unconsciously. And if you don't have the brain cells for that, you can't tell. You can't see it. It's transparent. The mind doesn't show it. But you can tell when you recognize the emotional content of your mind, when there's hostility and fear there, and judgment, and putting somebody else in a position where you determine that they're not worthy of being in relationship. So it's an interesting process to build the brain cells, to be able to recognize this whatchamacallit called a healing process or a healing crisis. I remember, on a physical level, healing looks like any kind of physical symptom you've ever had and low energy. On a mental level, it looks like any kind of confusion you've ever had and negative thoughts. And on a mental level, looks like depression. And on an mental level, looks like any kind of negative thought and confusion. So physical, mental, emotional. Old symptoms, low energy. Negative thoughts, confusion. Depression, old negative feelings. That's what processing out what this multi-generational database is holding on to means. And so we're here to create the support and to add to your vitality and your comprehension of those principles so that you can open. You know, in the ancient scriptures, they talked about here a little, there a little. And it's usually a little piece here and a little piece there until, bang, something major opens. And then you get to do a giant chunk of work. And we're here to support everyone who lends an ear to this in touching into that healing process. Now, some people might say, well, why would I want to face all that stuff and deal with it? Well, here's why. Because whatever you're facing and dealing with that feels, quote unquote, negative when it comes up, literally in your tissue structure, it's a disorder and a disease. If you don't ever bring it up and out and move it out of the system, then quite literally, it will ultimately be what kills you or contributes to your death. And I'm going to offer that, although everybody's doing it, pretty much everybody we know of, sooner or later dies. Maybe even death is a lie. Maybe if we had the courage to really open this field fully and clean up all of the generational patterns of hostility or fear, we could move out of that state of unconsciousness and into a whole new state of being. And everything we're doing is to move in that direction. If I am totally in error with that, here's what. It will only do you good to engage in it anyway. If death is the truth, then you're going to die anyway, so what's the difference? And maybe, just maybe, in the book of Revelations where Yeshua says, to he or she that overcomes, they will not taste of the second death. They will become a pillar. A pillar obviously is a fixture. It's not going anywhere. Driving down around the south in those big homes with those huge pillars in front, they're not going anywhere. Will become a pillar in the temple of my God. What does the temple of my God mean there? The temple, read your scriptures, says the body is the temple of the Creator. Closer than hands and feet. Yeah, somebody wants to put the Creator off in the sky. Create an instrument and stayed right inside. And we've created a whole perceptual world that tries to separate us from that. Closer than hands and feet. Will not taste of the second death. The first death is when we lose awareness that we are created as love. Will not taste of the second death and shall go out no more. What's being spoken about there? We're going to stop killing ourselves. And I'm offering that all death, there's no such thing as a natural death. All death is suicide. We do it to ourselves when we engage in energy patterns that don't belong within this human system. Now, if you take a moment and go hold a newborn child and tap into the essence of that newborn, you're going to get to experience that newborn energy is pure, present love. And when you understand that that's who you are, is pure, present love, and everything else is a lie, then you get to start undoing the lies. And it's only the lies that kill us. So we're looking to get back to truth, to have the brain cells for truth, and get back to where we're designed to live. In the meantime, we've been reading from the chapter in Why Is This Happening to Me Again on choosing teachers. And if you remember, we were talking to this character, Richard, and I'm using an example of him. He objects. He wants positive thinking only. He doesn't want to hear about any negative consequences to what's going on. And I've used an example of, well, if you were in a prison but you didn't know it, and I were to inform you were in a prison, would that be negative thinking? And if you didn't know that once you got around the third corner, blind corner that you can't see past, that there's a 20-foot fence you're going to have to span, would it be negative thinking to say, by the way, there's going to be a problem, And if you know about that problem, the 20-foot fence, then before you start out on your journey, you can go into that building over there and grab that 25-foot ladder, and you'll be over the fence. So he's kind of acting like the person, like, well, don't tell me the facts. Well, we want, this work is not about the disease of premature positive thinking. This work is about being with honest and true thinking and being able to look at what is factual, rather than construct perceptual realities and believe that they're the truth about the actuality that we're living in. So Richard's resisted that, and I just shared this story about the prison and the fence. And so the next thought that I offer him is showing up at the fence without a ladder is doing life the hard way. I'm here to support you in making life easy and joyful, meeting your challenges with the practical tools and knowledge you need. I support you in meeting obstacles in life with ladder in hand, that is, living life from an empowered state. Richard says, I'm willing to have that support and have life easier. I'm not sure yet about how that fits in with being a positive thinker. I've always been told I should be more positive, and I've been working on that, Richard confided. This work is not about being a positive thinker. That can get you into a lot of trouble, I offered. What are you talking about, Michael? My friend who insisted I call you said the work you've developed is the ultimate in positive thinking. This work is about honest and appropriate thinking, Richard. There's a disorder that I call premature positive thinking. If you have a negative foundation and refuse to deal with it, positive thinking is very appealing. It becomes another way to avoid. There is a benefit to positive thinking. Life improves. And so we'll leave the thought at that. We'll let that thought hang, and we'll step into the next step in that chapter on Monday. And in the meantime, we are honored and delighted to have your ear. And if you're out there in listener land, we would love to hear your voice. What's happening in your world? Do you have any thoughts, questions, answers, ideas for us? What's happening for you? Did Magda's session with Dr. Tim arouse any questions for you? Any thoughts? And or are you using the tools? If you're using the tools, can we support you with them? Is there anything that you're working on that's a challenge for you that we can be of support, or any aspect of any of the tools that for some reason are not making sense or you need some support with? Our call-in number, if you're on one of those stations where we can't see you, is 563-999-3581. So if you're out there in listener land and you can't talk to us directly because you're listening through one of the other venues that delivers this show, call that number, 563-999-3581. You'll be listening directly to the show. And if you push 1, that will raise a hand in the phone queue, and you and Jeannie and I will be having a conversation. So what is on your mind? How can we support you?
There are no hands up and no questions in the chat room. Has anybody else faced a similar situation like Magda, where you didn't feel like you were doing something adequately, or, I've heard a lot of people that I've worked with, well, I don't know if I'm doing this worksheet right.
I've heard that many times.
Yeah. I've even myself, and I told this the other day, that I've done worksheets before, and then when I look back and it's like so messy, and I even want to rewrite the worksheet because I didn't do it right. I wasn't neat enough or whatever. But it's not
honey,
about that.
You have rewritten.
I have.
Lucy, honey.
I know, I have.
Not you wanted to.
But,
yeah.
It's perfect even if your handwriting's bad, because if you look at it, you can ask yourself, when did I write like that? Or if you're doing a mind shifter, and your handwriting kind of gets crazy in the middle of it or whatever, you can think, when did my handwriting look like that as I was growing up? And that can kind of give you a clue as to when that issue started for you. I have found that to be true anyway. I don't know if that's true in every case, but it has been for me.
I think that the handwriting is something like the personality. It shifts and changes as our energy shifts and changes, as our awareness of what's going on and the mind changes. So, that word persona in the Greek language means mask. And the energetic patterns that happen to be running the system at any given time are either a reflection of the truth of who we are, or they're a mask that we put on over top of who we are. In the Greek language, the word persona literally means mask. So we have people with different personalities. Actually, there's some interesting research that was done by a gentleman who is a medical doctor and was into researching personalities. And he worked with multiple personality disorder. Now, it's a disorder? Well, I don't know. It may not even be a disorder, because in some cases, let's say, for instance, someone's been really horribly abused as a child, one of their personalities or their altered personality, when they shift into it, they were, as a child, they were injured regularly, assaulted in some way. And so they developed a personality to handle that assault. And there are cases where, there have been those proven multiples who, when they're injured, will shift into a personality that accelerates their healing process. So where something might normally take 6 weeks to heal, they may have finished that healing process in 10 days. Is that a disorder? Well, might not be. But there's a particular project that they did with a woman who had diabetes. And, they measure all of her stats, and before she goes in to do this experiment, she's proven to be a multiple. And with multiple personality, persona is an accumulation of thoughts that kind of coagulate into this personality that an individual has. And so oftentimes a personality will be resonated into activity by some sort of stimulus. So let's say if somebody's threatened, they may go from being gentle and mild to becoming just a crazy person, wild, abusive. And so this woman is known multiple, diabetes. They bring her into the laboratory, they measure all of her stats, and sure enough, if this woman doesn't have insulin every day, she's going to die. And then they induce a personality shift. You do that through resonance, and she shifts into one of her alternate personalities. Now, what I would offer, oftentimes in multiple personality, they say, well, there's this personality in there that's George and Harry and Bill and Mary, and, they're all different people in there. There are no different people in there. There's one being behind this so-called body-mind unit with its multiple personalities. And there are different, configurations of mind energy and responses that constitutes each different personality. So when this woman is in the mode, which is her normal persona, she's got diabetes, but then they induce a personality shift and they run tests. And there is nothing that would indicate diabetes, and if you gave her insulin, it might kill her. Well, how could that be? Isn't diabetes a disorder of the pancreas? Well, that's pretty much the believed issue, but then Let's apply some real science here for a minute. Let's listen to Niels Bohr as he's receiving the Nobel Prize in Physics over 100 years ago. Actually, Jeannie and I were in Denmark a few years back, and went and actually slept. I slept in his laboratory, where all of his writings were and such. It was pretty cool. Got to nap there. So here's what he said. As a man who spent his entire life studying matter, I can tell you this much. There is no matter as such. Our entire world is made of succeedingly smaller patterns of vibratory fields, nested one within another, within another. So if there is no matter, then there can't be a pancreas. There can't be a disorder of the pancreas. I mean, that's silly. Well, but we x-rayed it, and there's the pancreas, and it's dysfunctioning, and that's why there's a sugar problem. Okay, if that's true, then why is it when a multiple personality, it has a persona shift induced, that so-called pancreas functions perfectly, and there is no diabetes? There was no pancreas in the first place. Our eye interprets pancreas, a certain energy pattern, and when the integrative energies are there that produce what we call a functioning pancreas, we say, this one's functioning perfectly. But when a dis-ease energy, an energy that is off the mark, remember the Aramaic word sin is an archery term that simply means off the mark. So if a disintegrative energy enters into what we look at and see as tissue, but is really just energy, then we see it begin to disintegrate. So if you think of persona A, and there are energetic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And when those 10 patterns are in resonance all at once, we say, well, we call that persona, Jane. And when something comes along and resonates a different pattern, let's say attribute 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, when those are resonating into activity simultaneously, then we say the pattern changes from the personality Jane to the personality Bill. And we talk to Bill, and Bill has a voice, and Bill talks just like any other person. What if your persona is just a number of points that are resonating in conjunction with each other, and you think that's who you are? And guess what? That's the biggest lie you've ever been told, because that's not who you are. That's the persona active at any given moment that the device has. The woman they did this research on with the pancreas problem and diabetes, when they bring her back to her original personality, she's got full-blown diabetes again. Does she have a pancreas? No, she doesn't have a pancreas. Here's what happens. If you go to the opening words in the book of John, it says, in the beginning was the mind energy, and the mind energy became flesh. Our eye looks in a certain frequency range that we call the frequency range of matter and light. And where something is based in that energy range, we don't see it as energy. We don't see it as nested frequencies, as Max Planck said. We see it as real physical, because our eye takes in frequencies of light, misses out on a whole bunch of others, but takes in certain frequencies of light, and the brain generates a perceptual construct called a pancreas. And we see it. But it isn't there. It is a pattern of nested frequencies that the eye interprets as matter. Matter does not exist. Einstein, on such things as matter, we have been all wrong. what we've heretofore called matter is energy, energy whose vibrations have been so low as to be perceptible to the senses. Einstein, there is no matter. And what is the matter with you? Think about that phrase for a minute. It looks like matter, but in reality, it's mind energy organized into a form. And notice that the forgiveness process works with removing mind energy. And when you remove the mind energy that doesn't belong, remember the word forgive means remove, then you change the state of the appearance totally and completely. When you recognize that, then you realize that if we are fully conscious, then the energy pattern that controls this energy expression called the body-mind unit is a being that is conscious, active, present love, rather than a number of personality points that are resonating together and appear as who this person is. When we choose to take charge of our own energy systems and its nested frequencies, and we are willing to do the work to remove the hostility, the fear, the rage, the guilt, all the appearances. Go back to Yeshua, and he says, do not judge by appearances. When we remove the energetic appearances, then this so-called body-mind unit becomes a place that reflects your state of being rather than the personas that have been implanted or activated in you and or perhaps been there for generations and happen to come into activity and take over your awareness and your life. It's not until you know the truth that you can possibly be free of that. Once you know the truth of how it works, to he or she that overcomes, they shall not taste of the second death. They will become a pillar in the temple. And you will refuse to engage in disintegrative energy. You will do the work it requires to remove disintegrative energy, and you get to live. It's a little different idea than the rest of the world has, or than most of the world has. But if you go back and check your scriptures in the original Aramaic especially, you'll find it's all there. It says, don't judge by appearances. Don't judge by the way the persona looks. And his recognition that we were here to function as love. And we've got to come to bring you life and bring life more abundantly. And look at how many times he talks about love. And unless love is present, you listen to Paul, he's got a really powerful example of that. He talks about if I speak as with the tongues of angels, I'm not sure the exact quote, but have not love, I'm as a tinkling cymbal. He goes through several things. He says, if I have not love. In other words, if human life, love, is not conscious, active, and present in me, then everything I do is empty. And, his metaphor for that is a tinkling cymbal. Am I willing to do the work to face what's gone on in the generations to take me to the point where this is where I live today? And to face and remove every bit of disintegrative energy. That's what we're here to support.
We have a hand.
Yep. Oh, great. I've got two of them. Let's talk to this one, though.
Okay, area code 610. I think it's Susan.
Hey, guys.
Well, hey there, young lady. You're on the road.
I am on the road. Charlie and I did listen, but he didn't listen. He did a Sudoku puzzle on his phone instead. So
that's okay. Brain cells get built.
Right. Well, he starts conversations with me looking for reassurance in the OCD way. And I don't know
Right.
if you know how that works, but I guess you do. It's so much foremost on his mind that, and we are told, all of us, not to respond, not to comfort him, not to reassure him, because that only fans flames for this OCD monster to keep doing what it's been doing. So he
Right.
starts out, and he's very smart. He says, oh, no, this isn't about that. And at first we were hooked, but then not for long, because it is about that. So he goes, I say, Charlie, out of total love for you, I'm not going to answer these questions. I cannot. It would be unloving of me if I did. And he says, but these really, they'll fight me. And then he'll say, oh, okay. Then he goes silent. And I said, I'd love to have a conversation with you about the rest of your life. And he says, there is no rest of my life. That's how hooked he is with this.
That's what his persona is playing out right now.
That's what, Michael?
That's what his persona is playing out as right now, in the context of the conversation we've been having.
Right. So that's a persona. Okay.
That's a persona, yeah. And if you listen to that lesson in the Course that you've heard me quote fairly often over the years, because it's been one of the most profound and powerful for me, what the Course says is you use the symbols of OCD for a while, not because you believe in them, but to declare the falsity of them in the context of the OCD. So OCD, as we've talked about, it's a series of thought disorders. And when I can prove that this is a thought disorder, then I can help to dissolve and loosen the mind from those thought disorders. And the fear behind that behavior, as the nested frequencies of fear are forgiven and removed, and that whole persona, that whole set of behaviors is going to disappear. That would be my offering.
He does understand that it's a thought disorder. And it's very interesting because his father's been going through a tremendous career crisis. And
right.
As an aside, Jonathan even joined Tim Hayes on his Zoom thing last night and said it helped him relax for the first time in a very long time. He felt encouraged.
Awesome.
He could sleep last night. He has had enough of a margin of healthy thinking now that he could think of ways to handle what he's going through, getting the help of people at the hospital, going through proper channels to get a proper leave of absence, take a sabbatical. It isn't just running away. Suddenly he's applying, and all of this was fruits from last night, but here we're talking about Charlie. Charlie's been witnessing this, and his OCD has been worse, whatever. But when he and I and his dad go for a walk, and his dad will be talking about things that are clearly thought disorders, Charlie knows it all. He'll say, Dad, you know that's a thought disorder. You just ignore it. You put your mind onto something healthy. You know what they are. Charlie goes into his Michael Ryce mode or Tim Hayes mode. He knows.
Michael Ryce is your
knows,
son, eh?
Right. Charlie knows what's good for his dad. And then I say, Charlie, wow, are you listening to yourself? Because this is exactly what you should be doing, and you can do, and you are sometimes doing. And he retains the insight for a while. He'll say, yeah, you're right. I know that. But then he'll have a relapse. So
here's where the next level of healing is going to come for Charlie then, I think, from what you just said. Charlie holds a belief within his system of thought disorders that if he just focuses on something positive and everything will be okay, and he ignores that other. I say no. Had Charlie head headlong into that other and learn the nature of this disorder and forgive, remove it from your mind so that you can be free of it. There's no solution in ignoring it and going and doing something positive. That's just the premature positive thinking game, and it sets them up for problems. But really,
totally makes
so
sense.
So perhaps pointing that, he's obviously a very bright young man. So pointing that out to him and letting him know that there is a tool. It doesn't, finish overnight. It's not finished with one shot. It's like anything else. If you want to, create a path in the jungle, you have to go through that path over and over and over. Hundreds of people or hundreds of times you're going to have to walk that path and clear the brush and clear the grass and clear the wild animals, and then you're going to have a path to walk. So you're going to have to do the same thing with your unruly mind, just like the jungle. And so instead of ignoring them, here's what you do. Here's how you diffuse or forgive, remove the energy that's behind them until those thoughts have no impetus to move in him. And then he'll be free of them.
Right. Well, I love that, and I agree with that. Having Charlie do the worksheets is just beyond, there's some resistance, probably because I'm the grandmother, and what do I know? Or I don't know what it is, but he won't do them. So, and Jonathan wouldn't really do them either, but he did do part of one the other day and then got too anxious. He said his brain fog was so bad that he couldn't even concentrate. So I shifted into a mind shifter for him, and he did a half a page of mind shifter things and got a good look at the thought disorders, all the crazy thinking. But he didn't finish that either. But yesterday, when I took the dog back home, I walk their dog twice a day, took the dog back home, I said, "You don't look so good," because he really looked pinched and in pain. He said, "I'll do anything." And I said, "All right, the best thing I can offer is a worksheet or a mind shifter, or Tim Hayes has a Zoom thing tonight, but you need to carve the time and not have anything else going on." Well, he was cooking dinner, so he said, "I can't do a mind shifter or a worksheet now, but maybe I can go on the Zoom." And I thought, well, we'll see. But he did. And he said today, as I told you, it was helpful. It just opened a little bit of a margin of air that he could breathe so he could begin to look at things. And I'm thinking, if Charlie sees his dad doing this sort of thing, maybe Charlie will get on board. But he is so enthralled with his thoughts, the need to solve the OCD thoughts he has, that it overrides everything. And so we sat in silence.
He may need to hear it 1,000 times that he can't solve them. That's the old number one pseudo solution to the non-being mind. If I could just figure this out. But letting him know that, he doesn't need to solve them. He doesn't need to figure them out. All he needs to do is forgive them. And when they're removed from the structure, just like any other virus in a computer, when the virus is removed, it's gone. And, maybe, being of the generation he's in, maybe putting it in computer terms. There's a virus in your mind, the thought disorder, just like a virus in a computer. What do? You go out and get the removal software and you remove it. So here's the removal software. Here's how it works. And because, Charlie, this may not have started with you. In fact, you watched Dad. It obviously was going on with him. And, I had a little of that myself. And then I go back and I look at my mom and dad and their mom and dad and great. You're the inheritor of something that's got to be a virus that's been going on for a long time. And you can dissolve it piece by piece. It's not going to be done one fell swoop. It's going to be done one worksheet, but you can do it. And here's Orb here to support you.
That's great. I love the translating into computer. That's good. Well,
Yeah, he'll
I've dropped
understand
him off.
viruses and virus software, and he'll understand why you have to guard. Go back to the Greeks. This is one of the pieces of the whole game that the Greeks really had. The Greeks said, guard the portals of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's got to guard his own mind against being attacked by his own mind. And so every time he comes across a thought disorder, and if he starts to think of it as a virus, then what's the virus tool look like, and how am I going to use it to remove this? And as he starts to remove it, they'll disappear. I mean, they will literally disappear, and he'll just be, the natural kid he was designed to be.
That's good.
And who knows what the backlash will be to Dad and to you and to Tim and generations before and still, here and functioning. Who knows what the impact will be? But it'll be profound.
Fantastic. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea, Michael. Well, it's been very intense around here.
Yeah, I hear you. I think at the intensive I gave out bookmarks, and on the back of the bookmark there's a short form worksheet. It's on the website. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe forget the
Jonathan
longer worksheet,
said,
and that was both he and his dad.
Yeah, Jonathan said Tim Hayes used the short step worksheet with the pattern detour. And
right.
Jonathan said it was very, very powerful.
Sweet.
So I'm going to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, just take the short, 3 steps or maybe 4 steps on the back of the bookmark. And or if I know Jeannie, she's probably already got the link in the notes for that worksheet and or that short form. And, keep it simple. Keep it right down. The simple explanation. And, it took me, as I've said before, 35 years to understand that. Why would you do such a silly-ass thing as cancel a perfectly good goal? This is a wonderful goal. Why would I cancel it? That's silly. Here's why. Because when you put it in your mind, and your mind works by resonance, it resonates garbage that needs to be cleared out. So this is canceling the goal is how to clear out the viruses.
All good, Michael. You did it again.
Well, we'll hold the space.
No matter how hard you try. Thanks.
Well,
space is good.
We'll hold the space for no matter what it brings up for you in offering the support and the processing work, that you can be one step ahead in processing yourself when issues come up that you haven't resolved that match the issues that they have.
Michael, I've been doing that. You will be proud. I get up and my meditation in the morning is at least one worksheet with the pattern, which means it's a very thorough worksheet. And I tell you, I would not have been able to be this well and feel this good if this had been happening even a year ago. And I'm not saying it's just great all the time, but it's manageable and it's good. But I'm telling you, one weird thing I've been doing.
What's that?
I've been chewing the inside of my mouth by accident. I mean, I'll chew my salad, and I've chewed the side of my mouth to the point where it's so swollen that when I eat, I have to pull my cheek out. It's hard to avoid it, and I've been pulling my cheek out, and I called the dentist, and the woman she said, once you get that swollen, do smoothies, take it easy a few days, it should heal, and if it doesn't in a week, of course, come and see us. But I looked up on Google, and I'm transferring now. Hang on, I'm transferring over to the car, to the regular phone.
Okay.
All right, the regular speaker. Okay, just transferred over. All right.
That sounds good.
I went online. It says it's the result of stress. So I think, okay, I'm still that unconscious. And it's despite the work that I'm doing weird physical things.
Well, I'm not sure that's a weird physical thing. I mean, I don't know anybody that hasn't bitten their own lip with their own tongue. In fact, Arya did it yesterday. She bit her tongue, and she's like, "Oh, I bit my tongue." It's like, that's not very nice, is it? And it's something that happens, and swelling occurs. So take care of yourself, and instead of making it some mistake you made, it was just something that we've all done and all do from time to time.
Okay, that's good. Good.
Yeah, instead of making it some sort of a deficiency in behavior that you have.
Right.
It's like,
okay.
you got to stop picking on yourself, young lady. Start acknowledging yourself for, the awesome work that you've done in the last couple of years. I mean, it's profound.
It's been great. It's been great. It's a way of life. It's just, and Waldeck.
How about a mind shifter?
Waldeck, sure. Hang on. I just got home and I can get out a pen and write something down.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm ready.
I deeply cherish and honor myself. For the healing work that I have done for my family and our generations.
And I'm supposed to argue against that?
No, you're not supposed to do anything. But that would be the first thing you put on the other side of the page. No, there's no argument. The idea of a mind shifter is you write that on the left side of the page, and then whatever your mind comes up with, like a thought, like, am I supposed to argue with that? Whatever comes.
All right.
There's no particular requirements, just whatever comes. And then if you see that, with that, because the mind works by resonance, if you're uncovering thought disorders, then you've got all the rest of the tools to apply to, change, and remove those thought disorders.
Yeah. Well, okay. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Because I did a mind shifter on Jonathan. Something like, it is safe and healing for me to be joyful and at peace when Jonathan is struggling with his issues. And I found out an awful lot of stuff about my codependent relationship with him, how I'm afraid I will be abandoning him if I'm peaceful and happy while he's unhappy, how he will feel abandoned. He might even be mad at me if I don't accompany him in that way. He doesn't agree with any of that. I told him about that mind shifter. He said, "Oh, my God, I don't want you to do
Why
that.
would I do such a thing to you, Mom?"
Yeah, no.
I
don't want to have to worry about.
I can just see him. Mom, are you crazy?
I know, but
how can you think of me doing such things to you?
Yeah, it was like that, and so it's a hydra on a hydra. Every hydra tentacle has a hydra tentacle. So this has been.
I understand.
Now you gave me another one. Thanks a lot, Michael. Ugh.
Oh, you're welcome, and deserving.
Hey, I have a question, which is a form of escape, but also I've been wondering about Jeannie, and I wanted to ask her if she's still piling on the hoarding on the inside. She's still piling on tasks for herself to be doing.
Of course. I do have since the apps are done, I'm working with the guy from India on my website to correct, because the apps weren't printing on it either. The worksheets weren't. And so he's helping me get that straightened out. And then I'm working with Susan on the main changes of the website. But I've actually kind of backed off of that just a little bit. And this morning I've been working on Dad goes back to the doctor Wednesday, so I'm working on making sure that all the ducks are in the road for getting him back. And he's had 2 physical therapists, an occupational therapist, and the nurse here this week, and all of them are so pleased with his improvements. And so that's awesome, because that means they'll keep coming. They were going to stop coming because they said if they couldn't prove, that he was getting better with their assistance, then, they couldn't keep coming because insurance wouldn't pay for it. So it looks that Yeah, so because of the diagnosis of Parkinson's and the new med that they put him on, he's able to be more aware and follow direction better, and he's walking better. And so that's a definite positive because I'll still have help coming in.
Wow.
And he's gotten to a state where he's giving Jeannie more opportunities to learn forgiveness, too.
Yes, he is.
Oh boy.
It's been bringing up a few layers. And Jeannie has been more willing to take the time to just come in, put her hand in the house, and lay down and relax rather than have to go. So there's some light at the end of the tunnel, and things are moving sweetly.
Yeah, Jeannie, how has that affected your purpose sheet? I mean, your purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I think we all have to watch on that, because I am definitely on purpose in supporting family and taking care of Dad, taking care of Aria and Michael, and so my purpose is to support and to do. But I think we all have to watch, because then we cross the line. And I think you actually said it the other day, we sacrifice ourselves. And just like on the airplane, you have to put your mask on first. You got to take care of yourself, or you can't take care of the others. And so,
yeah, and particularly I've been thinking about that book, which is yelling at you. Yeah, we don't need it, but I'm thinking about you wanting to do the book.
I had hoped to be writing this week, and that has not happened. So hopefully, we'll have baby Monday and Tuesday, and then we'll be off a week. So hopefully I'll get some writing done then.
Good.
Hold the space.
Yay.
Yeah.
I will.
All right, well, we're down to about the last 30 seconds. So we appreciate our conversations with you, young lady. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks so much.
All right, everybody. Everyone have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. We appreciate you. Blessings.